Well, joining me right now, a Democratic Judiciary Committee member, Congressman Steve Cohen from Tennessee. Welcome, and thanks for taking the time, Congressman, on this really super busy weekend right now. And I just want to ask, what are you, your fellow members of Judiciary, doing right now? Where are you in the process? Are you incubating articles, to borrow the Times' phrase?
Well, we're reviewing the information that Intelligence Committee gave us, looking forward to the hearing Monday and preparing for our questions of the witnesses, and basically it's a review and a organizational session.
Okay.
Nothing more important that we will do as members in Congress than the vote on the articles of impeachment. It's the most important power Congress has, sole power, in protecting the American public from a president who has abused his power and is a threat to the country. Indeed.
What will your articles of impeachment be that your committee will be voting on? Can you share that? And you may have also heard Jerry Nadler earlier saying that the vote could come as early as this week on that.
I suspect it'll come this week. I don't know for a fact, but we're not going to have our articles prepared until after the hearing tomorrow, and the experts have testified on what was the Intelligence Committee report. We'll hear both sides from the majority and the minority, and we'll have our questions answered. And until those questions are answered, the articles will not be complete.
How much are you factoring in the possibility of trying to gain Republican support?
I've tried to gain some Republican support up here. I've talked to a few members who are retiring, who are people who've expressed their frustrations with Trump publicly. Thus far, I've not been able to get either of them to agree to vote for the articles. I've told them they could be a profile in courage. They could be the one Republican who made the party look good by abiding by their oath and protecting the country from foreign interference in our elections. But thus far, nobody is broken. Now, there are Republicans, journalists, pundits, and citizens who believe Trump should be impeached and should be removed from office. But the folks who have a vested interest because they work with Trump, get benefits from Trump, and have their base for Trump, have not broken ground yet.
You heard Lindsey Graham. He says this is going to meet a quick end in the Senate. What's your response to that?
Lindsey Graham was one of the managers of the impeachment articles against Bill Clinton and said that Clinton should be impeached because anything he does that lessens the respect people have for the presidency and the actions in the Oval Office required him to be impeached. Well, he didn't understand what high crimes and misdemeanors are. High crimes and misdemeanors are offenses that are injurious to the nation, injurious to the power of the president and his ability to respond for the nation. Sex in the Oval Office is a personal matter. Working with Ukraine to affect the elections and to use it, bartering bipartisan congressionally mandated funds to protect an ally from Russian invasion is a national security matter. Lindsey Graham does not understand the distinction, and his past has tainted him.
Well, I will just add to that, sir, that, of course, with President Bill Clinton, it was issues of perjury, issues here, potentially maybe those obstruction of justice, obstruction of Congress, bribery, abuse of power. All of those are
President Clinton cooperated with Congress, as did President Nixon, in ways way beyond President Trump, who has totally stonewalled Congress, told all of his people not to turn over any documents or to testify in any way whatsoever. And he's gone to court and he's lost in every court case where every judge has said what their proposal was just out of this world ludicrous, and they ruled against him summarily. Yeah, President Clinton lied, but that was something he did between him and Hillary. It didn't affect the presidency of the United States and how it relates to foreign countries and how it relates to keeping us secure from our national security strong.
Congressman, in terms of how deeply those things being considered are, your chairman, Jerry Nadler, mentioned evidence used in Mueller's report. Let's take a listen to what he said about that.
The evidence is virtually uncontested. It shows that, he worked with the Russians in trying to affect the election in 2016. Then he tried to cover it up. The central allegation is that the president put himself above his country several times, that he sought foreign interference in our elections several times, both for 2016 and 2020.
I know, Congressman, that you've said the evidence in the Mueller report was damning. So what do you think? Yes or no? Will Mueller's evidence be its own article of impeachment?
Well, it'll have to be determined yet. We'll probably start working on that tomorrow. What I think and what the general public thinks are two different things generally in this case. I think that Mr. Mueller gave us information that could have allowed us to go forward on impeachment on obstruction of Congress, obstruction of justice. But Bill Barr poisoned the public's mind, including some fair-minded people that would have listened to the evidence, by saying there was no collusion and no obstruction. He said that, he reiterated and gave the Trump people the opportunity to mimic that line for a couple of months. And then even before he released the report, he had a press conference to say the same thing, had Rosenstein stand behind him like a captured attorney general, and he said the same thing. They poisoned the well. The Ukraine report has not been poisoned like that has. The Republicans are trying to use procedure to fight it, but the fact are the Ukraine, the facts are clear. He's abused his power. He's tried to corrupt our election process for his own sake and corrupt it in 2020. And he's injured our national security or put it at risk. So the facts are clear, and we probably ought to stick with what's the clearest thing in the public's mind and sufficient to impeach him.
How do you do that? Because what you just said about yourself, you said that your opinion or what you think about this, not opinion, what you think about this may be different than the public. And that would be, I'm presuming, sir, based on the fact that you know all the intricate details, everything about this, which it's a huge behemoth thing to try to get your head around all the details, right? So how do you go about presenting a clear, simple, digestible picture for the American public to get behind impeachment?
I think that's why you limit it to Ukraine. It's simple. It's a phone call confirmed by several people who listened in on it and felt that it was wrong immediately, and immediately said it was wrong, and talked to their supervisory officials to say this was wrong, because you can't use American foreign policy for your own personal interest and political interest. They knew it. Colonel Vindman knew it. The lady who works for Vice President Pence, Miss Williams, I believe her name is, she knew it. It was clear. Fiona Hill knew it. The facts are clear, and that's what we ought to go forward with. And he used that to try to get them to make a statement about an investigation, not to do an investigation, but to announce an investigation. And to go so far as to announce it on CNN. The president even chose the news station that he wanted it broadcast to, because that must have been the focus group he was trying to get to hurt Joe Biden. He obviously fears Joe Biden, was trying to use Ukraine and the idea of an investigation to help him in a political matter. The Constitution is about free and fair elections. It's not about anybody winning the election. And Trump was trying to use it, our foreign military monies, support for his own personal gain, and that's against the Constitution and what the Founding Fathers feared most. This is an urgent time because the election's upon us.
Last question to you, sir. You speak about the clarity, as you see it, about Ukraine, and yet you also talk about the validity of including the Mueller report. It only takes one article of impeachment to be voted upon in a positive manner, in the affirmative, to impeach a president. Is it your idea that you put up one solid versus five that each have its own merits? I mean, can you answer what the ideology is there? Do you go for less or do you go for more?
I think you're going to go for short and concise, because I do think Speaker Pelosi, she's been the leader that's brought us to this point. She has looked out for the moderates. They came forth with several of them with an op-ed in the New York Times about their national security backgrounds and their concern about the national security of the United States. Now Trump has imperiled it, and I think we need to look out for those individuals as well as for the entire country in trying to get as much support as possible on this issue. And this will be the best way to do it, is with a concise report on foreign interference and our national security.
Congressman Steve Cohen, during a very busy time, I'm very grateful for your time with us here on Weekends with Alex Witt. Thank you so much.
Alex, for you, just for you.
No, thank you. I appreciate that, sir.
You're
Have a good
welcome.
one.